Oh, are they there?
Ooh.
Those
Yeah,
waveforms?
it looks like. Yeah, it's just I just pulled this down too far
Okay.
because we were making merry and enjoying ourselves too much, too loud. Okay, let's get Elly up a little more.
Yeah, that might be a little. Welcome to the Honest Jams podcast, where two friends infer to each other that they should write a song
I think I know what you're saying.
every week based on a prompt. I'm Al,
I'm Walker.
and today our theme is Things Unsaid. And one thing there is to say is that with us today is songwriter, drummer, guitarist, engineer, guitar technician, Elly Swope.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on.
For being here.
My pleasure.
Usually we like to just start by talking about how you got into songwriting and recording and all of that.
Yeah, sure. So I started playing music as a kid. I started on drums when I was about 11 and played drums in school, had private lessons, always just thought I would be a drummer. And then I got a guitar about halfway through high school. Just started playing in church, started playing all the songs that I loved on the radio, but I never thought I was going to be a songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of tried to do it when I was a teenager, but I wasn't very good at it.
Do you remember what was the moment that you were like, I want to get a guitar?
I don't have a clear memory of that. I always was like, this is embarrassing, but I was always air guitaring in my bedroom with a tennis racket.
Uh-huh.
I think I was just really driven. I loved playing the drums, but I think I always was a musician. You know, that's just part of who I am. So I always just felt a drive to learn more instruments and learn melodic instruments. And yeah, so I don't know that there was like I need to play guitar for this reason.
But then you told your parents, like, I want to play guitar?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever thought of recreating that tennis racket moment
In music video?
in a music video? That'd be great.
That's not a bad idea. Man, it's too bad I don't still have that tennis racket. It was a vintage one. It was really cool.
Yeah, one of those just like wooden ones that have no...
Yeah. Yes. Should have saved that. Could have gone in the archives.
Okay, so you asked your parents for a guitar.
Yeah. And actually, funnily enough, my mom wanted to get me like a baby size, like a small guitar, because she was like, well, she's a young girl. I don't know if she's going to be. And my dad like went to bat for me and was like, no, we're getting her a full size guitar. She's going to learn to play guitar.
Yeah.
It was really cool. So so they got me a guitar. And I always just thought I would be a performer or maybe like sing and play in a band that somebody else wrote the music, or maybe we wrote together, because I just never could quite figure out how to write a song that I liked. So I did that for probably until about 2008 or 9. When I left school, I started to get more serious about wanting to play music full time as a career, if I could. And I was in Missouri at the time, and there just wasn't a lot of opportunity to meet other musicians who wanted to take it that seriously.
Yeah.
So church was the music outlet for you.
Yeah. And, you know, there's a lot of really talented, great musicians in that scene, but obviously they're fulfilled and satisfied just playing every week at church. And I wanted to be touring and playing original music. So that's when I started pushing myself to actually figure out how to write songs and try to do that for real, because I wanted to sort of take control of that and not feel like I have to rely on other people around me to make music. Yeah.
So when did you start writing songs then?
About 2009, I think it was when I first started, I think.
And what was like the driving force behind that?
Just like I say, just wanting to have a music career and feeling like, okay, if I'm just like a side musician or a drummer in someone's band, then I have to find other people who want to take this as seriously as I do. Whereas if I've always wanted to write songs, I just felt like I couldn't. So I started to feel like, okay, if I just believe in myself and I figure out how to do this, then I can go for it regardless of who's around me and who wants to do this too.
So did you just like pluck out songs on the guitar and try to figure it out that way, or?
Yeah, there were a lot of bad ones, a lot of unfinished ones.
Yeah.
I just remembered this. My mom told me that she had written poetry when she was in her 20s. And she was like, I think I still have them. And she dug out of whatever corner of her bedroom. I'd never seen these before. She dug out these like yellowed pieces of notebook paper where she'd handwritten this poetry. And I was like, maybe I can write songs with this. Didn't work out. The poetry was great, but I'm a very autobiographical songwriter, so it really has to come from me.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at writing songs with other people's poetry or lyrics. So, but yeah,
So
I
is
tried
that
all kinds of things. Yeah.
motivating for you is like figuring out that about yourself and then like figuring out what you have to say, kind of?
Yeah, no, definitely. I did spend a lot of time thinking about, what I want to say, what kind of songwriter I am, and even genre. I felt like there was a pressure to pick a genre in a strange way, because I like a lot of different kinds of music, and the songs I write, they all fit together, but they're various styles. They don't all sound like, they're not all like, post-punk songs or, whatever. So I felt this strange pressure to like box myself in, and had to really allow myself to experiment and try different styles and things.
If your songs are autobiographical largely, then I imagine a lot of that material is about things unsaid.
Yeah.
To the people that you know, or to a larger audience.
Definitely.
Stuff that maybe you're not saying in daily life.
Yes, almost all of them.
I mean, that's how it is for me too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was a fun prompt because for that reason, since I do write from that perspective so much, that I had to really think outside of the box about what things unsaid means to me. But yeah, that's almost always what my approach is trying to just process something that I'm going through or something that's happened to me through the song. Yeah.
So what were you going through at that time that you were trying to process initially?
The biggest thing was leaving school. I was sort of starting to come to terms with being gay and being in a Christian community, and how I was going to come out of the closet, and if I was going to stay in that community or try to find someone else.
And you were how old?
23.
Early 20s.
Yeah, 23, 24. I moved here to Portland when I was 24. So, yeah. So that, I don't think that I really knew it at the time that that's what I was writing about.
Yeah.
I do that a lot where,
Totally.
Yeah, right. You'll like listen back to it later and think, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know that's the weird thing. Like, even if people ask me, like, what is this song about? Like, I might have an idea of what it's about, like, in the moment, but then, like, I could be singing it 3 years from now on stage, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I didn't even know, like, what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Somehow, like, those, that's what art is amazing for, is just, like, it really processes the things for you without, even if you're not aware of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's really what songwriting has become for me. And I think I was searching for that. And that's why it ultimately sort of worked out that I was able to figure out how to write, because I just sort of tapped into that. Yeah.
So then, so you're writing and playing in bands in Missouri. Are you recording at this time too?
Well, early on I was really struggling because I was just trying to write songs with my acoustic guitar and just sit there and write just the one instrument, my voice.
Right.
And I realized that I felt a need to, experiment with the drum part, experiment with the bass part, like put some keys on there. I kind of hear everything all at once. So I went out and I got a little like 2-channel recording interface, and I think I may have pirated Logic.
Oh, I pirated so many digital audio workstations.
Yeah. I may have started on GarageBand. I do remember using GarageBand early on, and then I was like, I'm better than this. And I fired it in Logic. Yeah, so just a really simple demo setup, and was just recording in like the spare bedroom in the house I was renting, trying to figure out how to write songs. And so I was enjoying recording, but I wasn't focused on learning to record. I was just trying to figure out how to write songs at that time. And then when I did go in finally to record a record, I worked with a friend of mine in Missouri who is really talented, and he lives in Nashville now, and he's done some work with some notable people, so I felt really safe with him. But that I had no idea how to communicate what I wanted my record to sound like. I don't even know if I knew what I wanted my record to sound like.
Right.
So it sounds great, but it didn't feel like me. So I after that process, I learned a lot about recording in that time. And after that, I sort of got the bug and felt like I want to know how to do this, not only so that I can communicate what I want, but also I think it's really cool. And
Yeah.
maybe I can record my own music someday. Yeah.
So you made a record, and then what do you do from there with your music in general?
Well, at that time, I was very young and thought that I'll just put a record out and I'll go on tour and people will love it, and I'll get everything I want from life.
Yeah.
Wait, is that not going to happen for all of us? Like right around this next corner?
No, I still believe in it, I think.
Yeah.
Less than I did then, but...
And you put the work into your music career. Elly works at Destination Universe Studio, which is also on the grounds here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think now, talking about working in the studio and putting the work in, I think the difference is that now I don't feel like I need to be Taylor Swift. Like,
right. Totally.
My measure of success is much different.
Yeah.
And it's not even that it's a lower mark, it's just a different viewpoint. Like, I do get to live a life of music, so...
right, being fulfilled
really
is more important than the material success.
Yes.
Although, obviously like
I'd love
positive
that too.
reinforcement from the outside world is also very nice.
It's so nice. Yeah, so I put the record out and I toured. I went on one tour and that was fine. And I moved out here at the end of the tour and played around town, and that was fine. But I stopped playing that music and sort of took a break from writing and doing my solo thing for about a year, because I didn't feel very connected to it anymore. It stopped. That's why I'm speaking so like, it's just fine. I still don't feel connected to it. It just started to feel like I wasn't doing it for the sake of itself anymore. I was really just like trying to make a career instead of focusing on making good music and having fun playing music with my friends. So.
We've talked about that a little bit, just about how important it is to really have the intrinsic motivation to create the art, because it's like otherwise it's just, you're gonna burn out if you don't have the feeling of like, this is what I want to be doing with my life. Yeah, and
I very much did burn out, and I started playing, kind of working as a hired gun and playing in other people's bands for a couple of years. And it was around that time that I started working in the studio here, Destination Universe, and just so enjoyed working with other people's music.
Yeah.
It really helped. I totally burned out on playing my own music and just felt like I was just going through the motions for a little while after that. But yeah, getting to play with other people and getting to support other people really solved that problem for me.
That collaboration that you're talking about, I feel like is such, like it's really important for communities, but it also seems to be kind of like in the bigger culture of musicians on all levels, more than when I was a kid. Like I don't feel like when I was a kid I heard about the famous musicians like collaborating with one another, except for like rap stars and stuff like that. And now it just feels like musicians in general, like, I don't know if people are just like making less money off their own thing, so it's like they need to like diversify or something like that. But it feels like
I agree.
A lot of people are really interested in playing in other people's bands and like learning through that experience. Like it's so enriching to play other people's music as well as your own.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. Yeah, I sometimes I wonder if that's just something that's happening in Portland, but I agree that it's happening on a large scale too.
It seems like it, right?
Yeah, like doesn't Courtney Barnett play in Jen Cloher's band?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And like
And Kurt Vile, I feel like, is a part of that.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And there's like a lot of projects where solo artists will work together. Yeah. Do you think though that that's happening in other local communities like it is in ours?
I don't know.
I don't know
I'm
either.
not aware enough of how things work.
Yeah.
This is random, but that reminds me, I'm just curious if other cities have this or if it's just Portland, that on Halloween there's like an unspoken rule that bands will do tribute band shows.
yeah.
Is that everywhere?
I think that's just Portland.
Please
I mean,
write in if
it's
your
also
city
a recent Portland phenomenon,
does
right?
this.
Like
Well-
5-6 years or something like that.
Yeah, I can recall it for the last 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
It's
I mean,
amazing.
It's a good thing to do.
I hope that if it is just Portland that people know what we're talking about.
It's amazing and heartbreaking how much time a band will put into one Halloween show and costumes and getting everything right.
And coming up with a tribute band name
Yeah.
Such as Shivo,
such as Shivo.
Yes.
the bitch and Devo cover band.
That was a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
look, our record's like still not out.
Put out a Shivo
we're-
record.
We spend all our money on energy domes.
Yeah. I gotta
So
know.
Please write in.
Please write in.
folks. Does your city do a necessary Halloween tribute band?
Oh, okay. That was a tangent. Okay, so you moved to Portland,
I did.
and then now you're playing music, recording music. So the recording part of it, how did you get a passion for that?
Yeah, so after I made my record, like I say, I just kind of got the bug from that and started doing more research on my own, experimenting more on my own, and, putting more and more money into, home gear. So that eventually I had a little home studio set up of my own where I could make my own records and really learn a lot. I ended up having to sell all of that because I moved into a van.
Oh yeah.
A sweet van.
The
That's nice.
sweetest. I miss her. I moved into the van. I lived in the van for about a year, and it was in that time that Victor asked me to start working in the studio. Just lucked out that timing wise. So honestly, when I sold all my gear, I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought maybe I just would give up on that and just focus on playing music. So it felt kind of serendipitous that he wanted my help. So.
Yeah. And I guess it's just like engineering is an interesting thing because we were talking right before this about, I was just saying how like even I can't really like explain what anything does.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I have like an intuitive sense for something, like EQ or
Right.
like, I mean, panning is fairly clear what's happening there.
Yeah, but stereo and mono
Stereo
is
and
not
mono,
clear.
we're clearly not experts at.
We'd like to invite you to the future Recording Engineers Roundtable discussion of stuff like impedance, ohms, stereo, mono. Just give us those basics.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
But do you feel like you have a technical mind for that kind of stuff? Like, is there kind of like something about the way that you think that?
Yeah, definitely. Which I didn't know that about myself. That's been a recent discovery. Learning how to fix guitars, that's a similar thing.
Right.
I definitely have that. I will say I also intuit my way through it as well. Didn't mean to rhyme, but
Yeah.
that is what I do. It's definitely a balance because I didn't go to school, and I've learned through Victor, and I've learned through self-driven, exploration.
YouTube videos.
YouTube videos is where I learn everything I do in life.
I watched a YouTube video about how to install a doorknob, and it was
Oh, yeah.
revelatory. I just always thought it was
Wait.
too complicated of a thing to do. I don't know. I tune pianos and stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I can do some
You can do
technical
some things.
You were like doorknobs.
I don't know why. It was just one of those things that's like, oh, I don't do that. Someone else does that.
Yeah.
But
Then you
thank
watch
you,
thanks YouTube.
guy.
Yeah.
YouTube is amazing.
How to fix it 420.
If you guys
It's
need
so
any doorknobs
interesting.
installed, just so you know where to go.
It's interesting because I too have had experiences with like trying to fix just very small things and feeling like it's not for me to do it. You know, I didn't for a very long time feel like I was deserving of access to that information. Like, okay, so that's somebody else's job. And YouTube, it really is just so amazing and has totally changed my outlook on life and my willingness to just fix anything, do anything, learn anything.
Yeah.
And I just feel empowered. Like,
And that builds on itself.
yeah, exactly.
'Cause
Once you can fix a doorknob.
I feel like what you end up seeing with that stuff is it's like clearly this person has built up skill so that they do this thing well when they do it.
Yeah.
But really, like, anybody can do the thing if you go through the motions
Exactly.
of doing the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I definitely felt that way with learning recording as well. Like I never felt like I was allowed to call myself a recording engineer. And I didn't feel like I was allowed to record other bands, you know, because I was self-taught and I was just working in my home studio. And like even when I started working here, it took me like probably about a year to start actually calling myself a recording engineer, because I think it's some internalized part of being raised a woman, you know. There's like this, I feel like men feel much more confident just calling themselves whatever profession they are,
Or the expectation is there.
Yeah.
That they would.
Right.
Yeah.
There's an entitlement.
Yeah, you know, and I see a lot of men around town, a lot of peers that do have basement studios, you know, just having no fear about going out there and like working with other bands and doing this thing. So yeah, it took me a little while to like feel empowered and feel deserving of that.
Do you know,
title.
was it like a specific thing that made that shift, or just kind of like over time?
Yeah, just over time working in the studio and just paying attention to the words I used to, I guess over time telling my friends and people I'd meet that I work at Destination Universe. I started paying attention to the words I use when I would describe that. And I would say that I work in a recording studio, and I just made it sound like I was this assistant running around making coffee.
Right.
I started to realize the picture I was painting.
Yeah.
So then I started to really force myself to say, oh, I'm a recording engineer.
Yeah.
Instead of like painting myself as this like underling who can't set up a microphone.
Well, I'm glad you're a recording engineer.
Thank you.
And that you consider yourself as such.
Hell
Because
yeah.
if you didn't, then I certainly wouldn't be one. You're
Right.
working.
Totally.
You're actually running sessions while Vic's out in the yard in his pajamas. You know?
In the hot tub.
We've
That's
had this discussion before about terms, though, because I personally believe anyone who wants to write a song can write a song.
Yeah.
You know, and they
Yeah.
might need some coaching or just a little like, here's some options.
Yeah.
You know, for
Yeah.
ideas. But I think everyone's got a story to tell and some kind of song that they can write. And so we agreed on day one that anyone who writes a song, however good it is a songwriter.
Yeah.
But then being a recording engineer came
Right.
up.
Oh
Totally.
yeah,
And we're
I
not
heard
sure
that.
if we are. Now, I'm going to say I am.
You are,
Yeah.
and you are too.
Yeah. The engineer part of it, I think, is
Oh,
like
I
the
see.
most challenging word for me, because I'm like, yeah.
Because you don't feel connected to the science of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
I feel that.
I don't know.
You could say I make records.
Yeah.
I record music.
I record. Right. But there's that the confidence of like, oh, and I will record your music.
I know.
That's a whole different thing for me.
It is.
I don't know if I would trust myself with somebody else's music in that way, unless they were very okay with me just like making something that sounds non-traditional.
Oh yeah.
I get around that worry by just recording friends for free. Nobody can complain.
Yeah. That's a good tactic.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to hear what you make. Can we start getting into that?
Yeah.
Okay, but before we do,
What does the internet say on the topic of the day? And if it's wrong, you can let us know by using the internet too.
Well, when I typed in things unsaid online, looking for quotes, I found it particularly poignant and succinct one from an unlikely source. It's from Burn My Shadow, A Selective Memory of an X-Rated Life by porn star Tyler Knight. Beating out many famous authors. And Tyler says, the things left unsaid to people we care about and the void those unspoken words leave often have more impact than what is said. Which just feels very true to me.
Yes.
I also found a George Carlin quote, which I will use any excuse to include in any episode. He says, of things unsaid, he says, I don't have to tell you, it goes without saying, there are some things better left unsaid. I think that speaks for itself. The less said about it, the better. So the last thing I found was an Ask Me Anything Reddit thread that asked what things are better left unsaid. And the top answer, do you guys have a guess for the top answer? I feel like I need to explain why that was so funny. It's because
No, we haven't acknowledged this.
It's because yesterday we recorded this episode and then the power went out and we lost it. We lost the...
Well, really what happened is we learned a valuable lesson.
We learned a lesson. Yeah, now we're like recording to multiple sources. Really up the game here at Honest Jams. So they know the answer.
Yeah.
And the answer is asking when someone's expecting or referring to someone's pregnancy. It's not a safe thing to do on assumptions.
I feel like there's a lot of
we just gotta
boundary
stop that.
stepping with people's babies in general.
Oh,
especially
that's so true.
The touching thing seems like a big thing where people, for some reason, are obsessed with touching people's bellies.
Touching pregnant bellies, yeah.
It's very strange.
I think it's...
They're like, let me get close to the
Oh, God.
source of life. I don't really understand.
You'd like to think it's just
So
like people's
cringy.
curiosity and trying to relate to each other on a very human level, but it's also just societal like ownership over women's bodies.
Yes. Leave it unsaid.
Just don't
Leave that
say
one.
it. Just don't bring
Just
it up.
don't say that one.
Unless you see that head popping out,
Whoa.
don't.
I feel like you should say something a little bit before you see that happening. You're like, I think there's a head popping out.
When are you due? Oh, man.
Did you find anything?
I also found a couple other things on Reddit. Again, somehow looking up things unsaid led me to this ex-Jehovah's Witness thread, which is like full of, there are like tens of thousands of people on this thread of like people.
There's one of those for every cult and religion out there. The ex-Mormon one is particularly compelling and inspiring. Just seeing people, think for themselves and just escape, oppressive thought patterns and groups. It's amazing. But I haven't seen the Jehovah's Witness one.
That's one of the amazing things that I saw on there was just like how supportive everybody was. You're so used to the internet being so toxic, but it's like these people were like, they just have seen what it's like to be inside the thing, and so anybody that's like thinking about getting out, they're just like so supportive of them figuring out how to better their lives in whatever ways they can. And the one interesting thing was that they have these acronyms that I'd never heard before, which is one is PIMO, which is physically in, mentally out, PIMI, which is physically in, mentally in, POMO, physically out, mentally out, and POMI, which is physically out, mentally in. And I just thought it was interesting that they were just like acknowledging that all those people can be a part of this community, even if they haven't like figured out how to, actualize the thing that they want to make happen in their life. Or,
right. If the rest of your family is still in, if your kid is still
complicated.
in.
I get it. Yeah. Like, or it's a lot of like, my spouse is like fully committed to this thing, and like I'm in love with her or him and don't know how to kind of like shift this dynamic. And so this is like they can't, because those cultures are so insulated. Like this is the only way they can talk to anybody outside of those cultures. So,
Yeah. Are there a lot of the PIMI people in that in that?
I would
on that
assume
thread?
not as much.
Probably
Yeah.
when they're just referring to their spouse or
significant
whoever,
others.
they're probably
Yeah.
just use that to mean.
Yeah, I didn't see a
I'm
lot of
just
people
curious,
like
like-
fighting.
Yeah.
'Cause that's
Oh,
what
that's good.
it would seem like that's what it would.
That's why they would be there.
Right.
Yeah.
But I assume, I mean, those kind of organizations are so like hawkish, you know, like
Yeah.
I assume there's people monitoring all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they, you know, like they do a really good job of like leaving out any identifying factors or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's amazing.
But yeah, really sad and heartwarming.
yeah.
I like the ex-Mormon ones where people are wearing like a bikini at the beach, or even just showing shoulders, or you know, drinking a glass of wine or something.
Yeah.
And it's so triumphant. And I just imagine
Yeah.
what would that be like every day, learning that this world that you, I mean, it is a hell in a lot of ways, but like in different ways, you know, in
Right.
like structural,
Yeah.
societal ways that why haven't we fixed this yet
Yeah.
kind of ways, but like that, you know, not everyone is this blasphemous demon out to get
Right.
you, you know, like to
Yeah.
have just every day discovering new things that you are
Yeah.
free to enjoy. It's super inspiring to read about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about that a lot, you know, having been raised in the church and sort of leaving the church and coming out. Like, yeah, those communities are just so insular, and like there's so many things you don't know about the world. Like I just I'm going through this like crazy like thirst for knowledge phase in my life.
Yeah.
Like I've told Ayal several times, I'm like, I love quantum physics. I just want to know everything about the universe. Like, it's insane. It's crazy. Like,
And terrifying.
and terrifying. Like how limited my worldview was when I was part of the church, and that like, yeah, you just have these like little things that you find out about the world. Like, yeah, drinking a glass of wine is okay.
Right.
I definitely went through that. I didn't drink at all until I was about 24, 25.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, you mean I can have like a couple beers and I'm not going to get super drunk and like nothing bad's going to happen and everything's going to be fine. Well, this is great.
Yeah.
That's also when you moved to Portland, so that's a,
Yeah.
it's a big pastime.
Yes, yes. There was a lot of discovery
Yeah. It's
when I
interesting.
moved to Portland.
Like, just people being so afraid of ideas is just an interesting thing to me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't relate to it at all. Like,
You're not
to-
trying to control a population.
Is what you're saying.
no, but I am attempting to like do what's best for my mind, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like the mentality around that stuff. Those people genuinely think that like infecting yourself with an idea is like a bad thing.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like if I expose myself to ideas, I feel like my mind is resilient enough to consider those ideas and like whether or not they're something like worth pursuing any longer, you know, like, yeah, sure, some like hedonistic things might be more tempting, but that's up to me to kind of like figure out how to navigate.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that you can still have like a moral compass and still
Right.
choose what's good and bad, or what's good for you even or not good for you.
Yeah.
But that it's your choice and it's based on a broader scope of knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your own logic should be able to stand the test of
Yeah.
exposing it to other
Yeah.
ideas.
Or at least my ability to understand that like even my own logic is fallible and that you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just to further understand myself, you have to like come up against other ideas.
Yes.
You can't define yourself without having like something to bounce yourself off of in that
Right.
way.
Yeah. I
don't
totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can be
What are we gonna
committed.
do?
You can be committed to being open enough to absorb new ideas and learn from them without, it doesn't mean that you're inconsistent yesterday if you learned something new and changed your ways now.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. Change is good, right?
Did you find anything else?
I found one more thing, which was this thread. There was actually a few of the same thread. What's an unsaid rule which pisses you off whenever it's broken? So this one was juicy. There was
People getting off the bus out of the front door. Use the back door.
there was a lot of that. It was more like elevator related,
Okay.
or subway related than bus. But yeah, public utility things where it's like of course, like you let everybody else off before you get on, you know, like that kind of thing. The top comment was from Korea Max, which is standing in lines. I'm living in India and people don't follow the line rule. If there's a big line, some people will just be like, oh, there's a long line. That's too bad for those people. And then they'll just walk to the front.
Crazy.
There's also a lot of griping about like roommates and food sharing, like people eating somebody else's food and not replacing it, or the most egregious, which is eating most of somebody else's food and then leaving
half
just a
of one
tiny
cookie.
bit in a covered box.
The empty box is maybe even worse than that. Eating all of it.
Just
I
no
discovered that at
satisfaction.
work last
Wait,
night. We have like polars in the fridge,
Uh-huh.
and there were 2 cases of polars, and I reached into the one, and it was totally empty.
What?
Oh.
And I was just like, take the box out. Just
Yeah,
put the box
how-
in the recycling. You know you took the last one.
I mean, there's no, like, okay, if you do that, the thought process you have to be going through, right, is, oh, that box is empty. I'm just going to leave it there.
Just gonna leave it. Yeah.
It's too bad for those people who have to open it next. It's just like those line cutters.
It's too bad for them. That's a shame.
I related to this one that I also find maybe not infuriating, but
You're a
slightly-
very chill person, so your level of what infuriates you, it's got to be pretty high.
when someone when you show someone a picture on your phone and then they take it and then they just start swiping through all the
I
pictures.
cannot stand that.
I have
the
literally never
worst.
had that happen
I
to me.
can't
People
believe
do
it's
this.
I
never
know that
happened to
doesn't
you.
make sense to me at all, really.
How has that never happened to you?
I don't know.
Do people take the phone out of your hands ever?
I'll just hand it to them.
Oh.
Yeah, I
And
don't
then
even. I don't
they
even
just
have
look-
a passcode. I'm just like,
Here's-
here.
I think people are
everyone
so
phone.
used to there being multiple of, because you know, like because of how phones are, usually
Yeah.
you take multiple of the same picture.
Yeah.
So I think people are like, I don't. It's or maybe it's just like the urge to swipe is so.
Well, okay, so
deeply
give me
ingrained.
give me a play-by-play then. So you're showing them the picture.
Yeah.
They swipe too far. Maybe they're looking at 3 different
they-
versions of the picture. They swipe and then it's not the picture, it's something else
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
your phone. And then right from here, do they go, oh, and then
Sometimes
Flip it
they'll
back.
they'll swipe
Some
like
people will
fast.
keep going.
Like just start swiping.
and all the while you're just staring in disbelief quietly?
I
or you're
never
having-
get that far.
I'm having a panic attack because my phone feels so private, even
Yes.
though there's nothing on there that they're gonna see that's gonna be like
Yeah.
in any way.
It's just an invasion.
Yeah,
It's like I have no risk of shame, but I'm feeling invaded.
exactly, totally.
I don't even get, honestly, like I don't even let them touch my phone anymore. Like if they reach, I just pull away. Like I'm here to show you this one picture. Like just look at it.
You're
can't do
ready
it.
for the what's it called? You're ready for the singularity, though. I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
like you're ready for like the phone to be inside of you.
I have an
Yeah.
Apple Watch
For
on
like
right now.
yeah, for Google to just like hear everything you say and order you the things when you want it ordered
Yes.
to you, and
Well,
That is right.
we can
just
just
pipe it into your brain.
I'm perfectly fine with all of it.
then we'll just make a thought command, and then in a hologram in front of your chest will appear whatever picture you wanted to show them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, maybe we're
3D.
beyond
But
that.
what
and
if
that's
that
what we're doing
happens
right
and then
now.
they start swiping your
And
hologram?
hey, don't swipe.
It would be so weird.
Whoa!
The future.
Don't swipe my hologram.
Don't swipe my hologram. That was the name of my song.
That's what the internet said.
So, Elly, we are both excited to hear what song you came up with on the theme of Things Unsaid.
Thank you.
What did you make this week? What did you make this week? Tell us all about it, 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 tell us all about it.
Yeah. Anything you want to tell us before we hear the song?
I don't think so. I
Does
don't
it have
know.
a title?
It does not have a title. It has a GarageBand title. It is called
My Song.
My Song 8.
Oh.
I'm not very good at titles.
Could you look at your
I had to
lyrics
put
here?
like so much time into like writing, like emotional energy into writing the song. There was no space for titles.
Yeah. I feel like titles are also kind of only important at the like final presentation stage, kind of. Do you know what I mean?
Agreed.
And even then, like when you're playing songs live,
If you're like one of those performers that likes to go, this song is called My Song 8.
I don't know if I've ever done that. I'm gonna do that at my next show. This song is called First Song 7.
Final Draft 9. The real Final Draft
Yeah,
11.
I totally do that. Do you do that?
Yeah, and then
The real one.
Yeah,
and then
and-
have two, the real ones.
and then the real one with like 2 L's. And then
Just keep that. What's wrong with us?
yeah, I have a Pro Tools file called Erase. I've renamed it to Erase This, and I like can't get rid of it. It just keeps popping up, and I can't. It's like saved that version. I can't find it.
Erase this, parentheses, crashed.
Yeah, I mean it. Erase this for reals.
Erase
Wink,
this,
wink.
parentheses,
I like-
final version.
These digital audio workstation jokes are really gonna
Captivate your audience.
yeah.
Okay,
All right.
here are my lyrics. Don't swipe.
Nice.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like it's summer already.
I
Sure
know.
was.
Does feel so
Snappy.
sunny, right? So what did you do? How did you write that song?
Well, okay, so I started the week by doing a lot of brainstorming about the theme because, like we said earlier, almost all my songs are about things unsaid. So I just wanted to really try to think outside of the box and make sure I wasn't writing a song that I've already written before.
Oh yeah.
And so actually the things we were talking about with religion earlier, that was one of the ideas I had. And I think there was a silly one about using emojis instead of words. There's
I like that one.
I always want to write silly songs about social media and technology, and I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. Could you do it if it wasn't under like your name, kind of in a different way or something? Like,
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
I do.
Because like for me, sometimes like silly songs just don't feel like they belong in the
Yeah.
same space as the other stuff
Yeah.
that I make. But
I'll make a new persona, and you guys
Yeah.
can have me back, and everyone can look forward to a future
it'll be
episode where I'll write a song about emojis. Great.
Nail polish, trophy, crying, laughing face.
trophy crying. Whoa.
I use
Mouse
emojis
playing a
very,
saxophone.
very abstractly.
It's the best way. So what I ultimately decided to write about was something that I've been experiencing in the last few years since I went through so many life changes, moving into the van, and I made a bunch of new friends and have sort of grown apart from a lot of old friends. And I realized that when I meet someone new, which I frequently do, they don't have any idea what I've done in my life. They don't know that I grew up in the church. They don't know that I lived in LA. There's all these things that feel so a part of my identity and that impact my identity that, you just assume that people know about them. But then, and I started realizing like, oh, I could leave those things out if I wanted to, which would be strange, but you know, it kind of gives me an opportunity to sort of craft my identity very intentionally. But it's also very disassociative, and
Right.
you know,
Well, because those things aren't the entirety of who you are. They're just like
Right.
they might be kind of like touchstones in the way you kind of like think about your history, but
Right.
obviously you have more depth than
right. And I think,
events.
I think that I do fool myself in thinking that if somebody doesn't know all the details of my life, that they don't understand me. I think I fool myself often, and I let myself think that. And so then I wonder, okay, do people really know who I am without my telling them everything? Or do
they feel my essence?
Do they feel me? Do they feel my essence? Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
So is the you in the song like a general you, or is this like, was it a specific experience that you, like the person you're talking to?
Just a general you. I mean, I definitely have this specific experience that I'm talking about. I have it frequently. So like in the first verse, I talk about a new friend seeing a photo of me with long hair, which about 3 years ago I had, maybe 2 years ago, I had really, really long hair.
Yeah.
Both of you have seen it. And, but I have a number of friends now that I've only known for a year, maybe. And when they see, now I have very short hair, when they see the photos of me, they first of all think it's so long ago. They
Right.
don't realize how recent it is.
Yeah.
And they think they get such a strange idea of what it means that I had long hair and now it's short.
Right.
You know, being a queer woman, I think that they're thinking that like there's a gender expression tied in with that.
Right.
So yeah, those are really confusing interactions for me because does it change someone's idea of who I am if they know that like I'm not committed to short hair?
Right.
You know?
Right. Totally.
You know?
Yeah, we talked about that with makeup before, where it's like you like for somebody that like newly knows you, for them to see you with makeup on, they're like stunned by it. But like you have those feminine elements to your personality that
exactly. Yeah, but if someone hasn't known me very long, they might not realize that, and then when they discover that, then it creates a new version of me.
Or
them.
it's like, which one is the real one?
Yeah, totally.
It's always you in the moment.
Yes.
right.
That's you right
It's
now.
always me in the moment. Yeah, exactly. It's always me in the moment. So then, so it gets a little confusing sometimes. Like, does it really actually change anything? I'm still just me. Yeah. It's a fun mental exercise, I think.
And socially.
What really makes me me?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
No, it all dissolves away if you think about it too much.
True. It's true.
So you wrote the lyrics first?
I did, yeah. I wrote them Thursday night, which is the night before we first tried to record this podcast. I spent all week sort of like journaling and really thinking deeply about like what I wanted to say, and then it all just sort of like came out in sort of a stream of consciousness, like probably around 11:30 or midnight, like the very end of the night. Thank God it did.
Yeah.
And then I went to sleep, and then I woke up Friday morning and recorded the song in about the 3 hours before I came over here to record the podcast.
So you started.
It was very stream of consciousness in the end.
Did you have a melody with the vocals?
I did. Yeah. I guess I would say that always when I'm writing lyrics, I have a melody in mind.
Always.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just because, or at the very least, like a rhythm.
Yeah.
It helps me sort of choose words and choose the phrasing.
Right.
So, those are always tied in together for me.
So then you played guitar to that?
I put some drums down.
Okay.
And figured out some chords that kind of fit with the melody I had in my head, and then just sort of arranged everything in GarageBand on my iPad. My favorite recording tool.
Yeah.
And added some delightful little keyboard choppies on the
sure
chorus.
did. I sure did.
I love
Thanks
those.
for noticing.
I'm always a sucker for that.
I know.
Or a shaker.
They're the best. I got a little shaker in there too. Little digital shaker.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so amazing, just like technology, just like how easy it is to, just plug into
Yeah.
an iPad or whatever.
I
If you
know.
have any piece of technology of that kind, a
Yeah.
phone or anything like that, like you can just find something that plugs into it that
Yeah.
takes audio.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I just have a little, it's called an iRig. It's just like a single 1/4-inch input that goes into the headphone jack. But they make some really crazy advanced things for that too.
Right.
But I mean, you
Is
could
it
even
stereo?
it.
We've been having some stereo mono issues at Honest Jams lately, and now I'm unsure of everything.
What is stereo?
Oh man, that could be the theme. You could have a theme. What is stereo?
Did you know when I found this like encyclopedia of psychedelia or something like that, it was called, I don't know, some ridiculous name. Like this was like 15 years ago, and the only thing that stuck to me from there was under the heading psychedelic music. How they said that got invented was, or the reason the term came about was because when stereo was invented, people would just like take acid and just set up giant speakers on either side of themselves. Like, so then people started making music
Yeah.
that would like translate
Enhance
to
that experience. Yeah. Wow.
Maybe when it went from mono to stereo is when everything went from black and white to color.
Yes.
That might have happened
Mhm.
at the same time.
What a unique moment in history to like
I know.
to hear stereo for the first time.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's hard to relate to that a little bit.
Right? I know. We take so much of the stuff like recording for granted, where it's
Yeah.
so you just, even if you just play guitar and turn on your voice memo app or whatever
I
and
know.
record that, like it still sounds pretty good
So good.
compared to like a tape recorder or a cassette or whatever, which I love also. But
Yeah. For
it's
sure.
just like, it's also so fast, you know,
It's
like,
so fast. Like I said, I recorded that minute and a half, 2-minute ditty
Yeah.
in like 2 hours.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No rewinding.
No. Yeah.
We still use a 4-track occasionally,
Yeah,
so there's a lot of
good.
rewinding. Worth it.
Totally worth it. I'll also add my truth window,
Yeah.
which is that this process is so terrifying
Oh,
for
yeah.
me. But I'm really, really glad I did it. I'm not normally able to write a song this quickly.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, write a song this quickly that I feel this comfortable sharing with other people.
Mm.
I normally am very embarrassed by the first draft of a song. So
Yeah.
very glad that I did it.
Well, yeah, thank you for doing it. It's interesting that, I don't know, for me, just like looking at what that is, like that kind of fear of being judged, or it's like,
Yeah.
there's also an internal thing, right? Like it's like, I want to live up to my own standard.
Yeah. I definitely feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning. Like, why did this feel so different? And it was just like, I'm just gonna write a song because that's what I'm gonna do. And
Right.
I'm not trying to like, write a song that it's not even about putting it out on a record. Maybe I will,
Right.
but it wasn't about
Exactly.
that. And it's not about playing it on stage. So it does free me from feeling like it has to live up to my own standard.
Yeah.
You know,
It can
Yeah.
be a bad song.
It can be a bad song, and that's perfectly fine. It's still a song.
I can't wait till we do a prompt that's like, write the worst song possible. I'm looking forward to that
I'm
one.
ready.
That's
I
a
don't,
good one.
That
Can
would break my brain, I feel like. Because like I can really get into some far out shit, you know? So it's like,
yeah.
how do you...
How do you even define a
You'll
bad
probably
song?
make something great.
Well, if you hear something
Yeah.
enough times, all of a sudden your brain is like, oh, that's a pattern. Like,
Yeah.
it's at least familiar, as opposed to like a bad song to me would be
A boring cliche song.
just like painful, like something too loud to listen to.
I know. I can't wait to hear what you would think of as unlistenable. But maybe the prompt should be unlistenable then.
Unlistenable.
When we do that.
Well, I think I could
love
make something
this
that's
idea.
unlistenable for other people pretty easily. Whether or not I like it or not.
Yeah. Oh my god.
There's a lot of weeks in the year.
I
That's
can't
all I'm
wait.
saying.
Can't wait for that episode.
All right, who's going to be next?
I think it's you, right?
All right. Well, my whole sharing of the song and information about how it was written is all one big truth window, because it's been a crazy, hectic week, pretty dark stuff going on.
Yeah.
My dad had a stroke 5 years ago and is in hospice now, and just nearing the end. So I had to cancel a show, which, I have my own issues about seeming unprofessional canceling a show, but I just got to do it,
Yeah.
So I had to rush out of town and go see him, and he's lost a lot of language capability initially, and it hasn't improved very much in this 5 years. So it's not looking like his quality of life is likely to raise naturally, right? It's kind of been along the same path, but also he has a lot of pain in one side of his body, and it's just it's a quality of life that I don't know if I know anybody that would want to exist with that indefinitely. So he's got enough words and gesturing to say that he really wants to go. So this will be like a sweet release kind of scenario, know? But the other thing is that we had a complicated relationship because, there's no other way to really say this. He was a yeller, and because it didn't include physical abuse, I didn't see that as abuse growing up.
Yeah.
Because I was always drawn to, I don't know, not the tough kids, the outcast kids. I was always, and my parents were hippies and amazing hippie weirdos who, didn't ever put any pressure on me for financial success or anything like that. They're just pursue your dreams, do whatever. They're musical people. And so there's so much great stuff in my childhood, but I always assumed one day I would sit him down, I'd keep it surface level for all the years. And then I would just sit him down and be like, hey, listen, that really had an effect. Just yelling, just the threat of knowing and yelling. My parents were divorced when I was 9. So that was a really popular year for divorce. There's a special group in my elementary school class. I got pulled out and we went in a circle and talked about our parents divorcing, and kids' whole worlds were crumbling and they were crying. And I was like, I'm kind of going to be happy to see my mom not be yelled at anymore,
Yeah.
And I get summers in sunny Southern California. So hey, it's fine. I feel now that there is not that opportunity for me to sit him down and tell him that stuff because he cannot speak. Right. He can't. That's a one-sided conversation. And also I just feel so much for him and his situation that I would not wish on anyone. Right. So it's a complicated situation, but I don't want to see him living in this pain in an extended way. It's not, he definitely doesn't deserve it, Yeah. So this song is partly addressed to him, partly addressed to myself. Yeah. And I just was lazy and named it Things Unsaid. That's the episode title.
Yeah.
It's intensity there.
Yeah, heavy. It sounds like it's all addressed to one person, but the second verse is actually addressed to myself. And that was the first line that started it, which came with a melody. I was in the shower, so I recorded a little voice memo after I got out. I actually have that.
You can't even see the world is crumbling around you.
Yeah, so I kind of imagined the chords in my head, and it played out pretty much how I thought it would with the chords.
You always tap out a beat too whenever you record voice memos. I've noticed.
I do. I have to.
It's a good strategy. I like it.
Well, yeah, because I'll lose it. The rhythm is so important. If you expect yourself to remember it and go back later, which I used to do a lot. Since we've started the show, I'm like, any half-baked idea, it's going down. It's going on there. And I'm aware that I'm likely going to play it on the show, so I try to like sing in tune and stuff. It's just
Try a little harder.
Put a little pep in my step.
Yes. It's amazing.
So yeah, that line started it, and it was one of those things where it just kind of, there is a story behind it actually. I got home and we found some water damage because we just hadn't taken care of a certain area of the house, and it smelled mildewy. And when you leave your house for like 2 or 3 days or longer, you come back and you're like, oh, my house has a smell.
Yeah.
Like everyone's does, just of dust or whatever. But there was like this funky like water damage smell, and I'm like, was I just living in squalor and I didn't know it? Or I don't think I was. I think it got particularly bad the last few days. But it just made me think, like, after you come in contact with death and grieving and just that morbid thing, like, you have to then just live your life and interact with people and follow all these, rules that you've set up, going to work and things like that. And you have to ignore that you and everyone is going to die.
Yeah.
You have to keep that out of your mind, right? So or else
I
you
go
can
both
just
ways with
dwell on it forever.
Right.
I mean,
it depends what kind of strategies I have in the moment. Like sometimes I'm able to fully, I feel like, take on like the brunt of that knowledge, and like it kind of makes my awareness fuller and like more beautiful.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like deep existential dread, and I've had to learn over time how to, because when I was a kid I would just freak the fuck out. Like I could not handle the idea on any level
that you might not exist.
For infinity was the big thing.
Yeah.
That's why earlier was space, or like,
oh, I know, it's amazing.
just like if I think about it too much, like just the anxiety just starts to ramp up inside of me.
I know. I get a little blasé about it sometimes. Like, oh, everyone's gonna die. That's fine. That's okay. I'm gonna die. Everybody's gonna die. But then I realize that it makes me like a really transitory person when I'm like really allowing myself to go there and just think, it's fine. Everything's gonna change. Everything's gonna end. It's not gonna be a big deal. Then I start to like really emotionally disconnect from things, and then I'm just like, I feel great. I'm happy. Nothing's wrong. And then I realize, oh yeah, I'm just not connected to anything. Yeah. It's a weird, my experience with that, everyone's going to die and I'm going to die, has been real weird the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, I go back and forth. My brave inner voice is like, well, yeah, and whatever happens, you'll just face it when you get there.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's fine. Why would you dwell on this?
Yeah.
Like you're just gonna have energy to face whatever comes, And then the other one is just the spiral of like, just grasping at straws. What can I be sure about? What's one thing? When you're a kid, assuming if you don't have a terrible situation with your guardians, mom and dad, or my parent knows. They're the safe one to. And then you realize, nope, they don't know. Everyone's alone. We're all going to die. So
I feel like didn't you have a really good experience with your grandmother dying? Like, wasn't she in like a really good place when she died?
She lived to 101,
right?
Which was amazing. And she's just one of the most inspiring people I've ever met.
That's incredible.
And was just beloved by her whole community and her church. And going to that celebration of her life was like, oh, I haven't ever been to one of these where it's like someone who, I mean, it's still tragic,
Of course.
Just that anyone's going to die at any age. But, to see her having achieved really the best possible, scenario of living a full life was yeah, it was a different thing. Yeah, because my only brother died of cancer too. So yeah, there's just been a lot of grief in my family, and it's been pretty heavy. But my dad's ready to go, so I could get the call at any moment.
Yeah, that's intense.
Now,
Yeah.
and it changes every moment, every hour, every day. It changes how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I feel like I've been proactive. I've like filled out any forms, you know, I've like prepaid for cremation, you know, I've done things, and that makes me feel like I have some level of control. And the biggest conflict for me is not just having that honest conversation with him.
Yeah.
That, hey, you know, maybe yelling wasn't the best idea.
Right.
Maybe that's not what he should have cultivated. But on another hand, you know, maybe he just tried his best. So
Yeah.
Right. And ultimately, like, your conflict, right, with that idea, that gets resolved inside of you, right? Versus, like, obviously, like, having a conversation with somebody about it where you can process it with them that helps you to process it, you know? Mm-hmm. But ultimately, it is you doing the processing. So it's like you have to come to terms with the...
Yeah, and it's weird in my case because he really... I mean, I'm a lot like him in certain ways. In other ways, I've tried not to be like him. But in one way that I am is like, oh, just deal with it. Just figure it out yourself. Don't go to see a professional. So I've never had therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Which I wondered when we started this podcast whether it was the responsible thing to do.
Yeah.
To have a podcast, you know, which really, I mean, it's about songwriting, but really it's about emotional vulnerability.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
And just being honest about who we are and what our fears are and all that.
Yeah.
And I thought, is this a socially responsible thing to do, or should I go like work it out first with a therapist? So I'm not just, but
Well, I think it's like we were talking about with art earlier, right? Like the art is working it out. Like there is a therapeutic element to just creating whatever thing, you know, even if you just kind of like expand the meaning of art a little bit and like look at it as you're creating a piece of art with your life, like the way you live your life. Like I think that making art really translates into broader elements of life because of that kind of processing ability that it has. I mean, so many musicians that I know are just like really emotionally in touch, you know,
Yeah.
because that's
and scarred.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to talk a little bit more about the song? And
Yeah, I've got a little isolated track there I sent. I was in a fog when I got back to town, of
Oh, I
course, and
bet.
I just like,
so you wrote this right after you had visited.
right after I had visited him. And I have this little Black Star like pocket amp, essentially just a tiny amp. It has delay and distortion, and I'm lazy, so I play like the electric tenor in it. I'll put microphones in there to sing, and I put the bass through it, which, I mean, you, Elly, you could tell me, of course. Anyone could tell you. It's not, you're going to play bass through something that's like 6 by 4 inches.
Yes.
It's not going to be a great bass tone. But
What is a great bass tone?
Oh, yeah.
so it was really noisy.
Talk about existential.
It had delay though, so you hit the
Oh,
note and then
cool.
boom, cha cha. You know, it just like had this cool sound. It was super noisy, but I just committed to it.
Yeah.
In my lack of ability to make decisions, I just like followed down the path that I laid out with this shitty bass tone. So, and I actually didn't save it before I EQ'd it. I was able to get rid of a lot of the noise. And then I added a ukulele, doubling it so that I could further mask the bad tones. That's a big vocal cluster going through some distortion.
This is all through the Black Star?
No,
Oh.
just the bass and the ukulele. So yeah, then I
Nice.
decided
I
that
love it.
I decided that thank you.
I would say that's a good bass tone.
Yeah.
Personally.
Right?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I couldn't, it just would have been too annoying to go back and get the uneq'd one. So that one was not as bad as it initially had been, but I kept that first track, and I just thought, okay, well, I'll just make sure the arrangement has a lot of like clusters of stuff over it. Basically, they just keep layering on, and hide the faults. kind
Love
of
it.
strategy. And so I did those big vocal clusters, and then those were fun to put through distortion and make them not sound like a voice.
Yeah, I wondered what that was actually. It almost sounded like brass.
Brass, that's what I was thinking
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, or like a melodica or something, like some
Yeah.
reedy.
I
Sometimes
assumed
my
you just got
voice.
Vic to play trumpet.
I know. I
over
was
it.
like, did
Oh,
Victor come
really?
out here
Yeah.
and play trumpet?
It really sounded like
It
brass.
sounded like
Oh,
brass.
cool,
And I
cool.
thought maybe it was a synth because you've got some pretty great synths too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been trying to do to expand styles vocally and like sounds with vocals. So
That's really cool.
that's just one like side goal of these songs for me, is like experimenting with my voice,
Yeah.
trying different stuff. So yeah, once it had like I had that first line and I had the vibe, you know, it all kind of filled in from there.
Yeah,
Cool.
cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for. I know it's been a lot.
Yeah.
Should I do mine?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm excited because I see yours has a lot of lyrics
What does that imply to you?
that usually both of ours fit on one page.
Oh,
Because we just like, what's the minimum amount of lyrics we need to get a song done?
oh, I see.
I
That's
mean,
not
I-
my process.
That
It's
was
not?
my process. I was like, okay, I need at least probably two verses would be
Yeah.
fine. And I was like, I should add a third because I'm going to need a chorus.
Yeah. I feel
minimum.
you. And we put the drums down first.
Yes. Always put the drums down first.
Well, one thing I do relate to is that I started with a line that then got me into the thing, and it's the second verse line. When will all the things you didn't say find a way to the surfaces of fate? And that kind of just got the ball rolling, and then I wrote this song.
I fall easily in love with the pain, with the pain. I know how to navigate my everyday. Separate the thought from feeling, file another drawer, till you can't remember who this work is for. What you're told. Over and over again. When will all the things you didn't say find a way, find their way to the surfaces of fate? When will you recognize yourself in the form of the sun obscured by clouds in the storm? You know where the ocean is, you know where's the land. Do you sail out to sea or trek into the desert sand? You're made for this season, can't you see? You did it right, did it right itself, or do you have author's sight? Pick up the pen. Over and over again. You cannot make it something, but you can make it your own. Show me who you are, show me who you are, show me who you really are. Show me who you are, show me who you are, show me who you really are. Over and over again.
So pretty.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah.
Did you
I'm not sure.
Did you use that delay pedal?
I don't think that's on there. I think that's just some other crazy delay. I don't know. I think I was just trying to like take up space. I couldn't figure out, the production was like, it didn't, like, I really liked the song that I wrote. And then I was like, I don't know if this is a guitar song. I just like, I wrote it right before I wrote it. I was listening to, like, I'd never checked out Maggie Rogers before. You know Maggie Rogers?
Oh, I love her. Yes.
And do you know who she is?
I think so, yeah.
Do you know the Pharrell video that kind of made her?
I
Oh,
don't.
okay. There's this really, like, she became famous through this like viral video with Pharrell, where I think she was like a student at NYU or something like that, and he came into some masterclass randomly, and she plays him her song, and he's like, I have no comments for you, like, this is just a perfect song and production or whatever. And he actually says some really great things after that too, of like what he likes about her song is that it feels so like uniquely her. And he's like, and everybody can do that. Like, you gotta just be like willing to, you know, do things that are unpopular, or, you know, like, or just like use sounds that just like are unique to yourself. Not try to like chase trends and stuff like that.
Right.
Which is kind of like what we're doing here.
For
Like,
sure.
just like do what you do.
Yeah.
But the reason I brought that up is because she has like a really, she does kind of like more like electro poppy kind of stuff. And I think that kind of vocal jump maybe was inspired by that, because she has this like effortless falsetto kind of, her voice is just crazy. So yeah, I ended up in this other kind of world with it, and I don't know if I like the song that I wrote, but I'm not just that sure about the production of it really.
I liked the
I liked
production.
it a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like the key pads there were really nice, that kind of organ sound. I have a question about the lyrics on the second verse, where it says, did it write itself, or do you have author's sight? Author's sight, each of those words is capitalized. Does that refer to an idea outside the song?
No, I don't think so. No. It just felt
important.
Something like sometimes I'll do that for ideas that feel like, you know, the way people capitalize God. It's things that are like maybe universal laws, or, you know, like universal things. I think like to me whatever author's sight means in that, you know, like the ability to kind of like write your own life. Like that's something that I think is like a philosophical idea. So then it gets the uppercase noun designation, I guess. I think I've learned it from like, there's an author I like, Robert Anton Wilson, and sometimes he'll like refer to like parts of a person, like you know, the archetypes inside of a person. Like I don't know, I can't think of any. Maybe like the Joker or the woodsmith. What? But like those terms will be capitalized. And I like how that looks in poetry, where it's like it gives it a kind of like, this is something to pay attention to, or something like that.
For sure.
It'd be interesting for you to learn German and read in it, because they capitalize all of their nouns, right?
Oh yeah.
I see comments online sometimes in English from German writers who capitalize everything. All writing looks like a newspaper headline.
Oh my God.
It's interesting.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, me neither.
All right. Every noun gets that.
Yeah, every noun.
I hope I'm right.
You'll find out if
no
not.
guarantees. There's just some prolific weird person online spreading that lie. And
you could believe either way.
I feel like our themes, I mean, mine was off in like Sad Town Island, but your themes seem to intersect, and with what we're talking about who you are in the moment, being the sum of all these things you were, but people you know now not knowing who you were. And you say, show me who you are, show me who you really are, over and over again. So that just made me think of that. You're showing people every day. And proving that you are who you are with that time.
Totally.
For sure.
Yeah. And I'm not sure exactly who I'm talking to in that context.
Because you could be talking to yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I have to be constantly discovering myself over and over.
Do you guys do that where you write a song to yourself, but then you say you? So people think, I do that all the time.
Oh yeah, totally. Or sometimes like it can just be like random like I knew I was going to play this at an open mic that I go to, you know, and like maybe there's a cute girl there that I want to be like talking to or whatever. So like who knows where those motivations come from, you know? Not saying that's the case. I'm just saying.
Songwriting.
Yeah.
So useful for so many things.
Well, I had another question. Or do you want to tell us more about the process?
No. It was just a song that I wrote and then I recorded it.
It's a song I enjoyed. I had another question for you guys about things unsaid, because I caught myself the other night doing this, and I wonder if other people talk to yourself when no one else is there.
All the time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Constant. It is like constant vocalization.
Okay.
In my tiny studio by myself.
I've developed it. You also have a dog to talk to though.
I do talk to him, but I'm not
Yeah.
entirely talking to him.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time to myself.
I haven't. It's like slowly crept into my life over time, like a little bit now. But I don't even like. I'll rarely laugh if I'm by myself. Like even
Wow.
Yeah, laughing is a very social thing for me. Like it only.
What
seems
about
to
when you
come
did
out.
that hour of George Carlin research for this?
Still no. Like
Wow,
nothing. It's
really?
Yeah, it's really strange. Or I mean, like I've gathered that it's strange because I'm not observing other people without, you know. But it's I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think I'm at the very low end of the spectrum for that, because all those behaviors are ultimately social. Maybe they're not, though, you're saying.
Well, okay, so it might be social, but also that I read recently that that there are two different kinds of internal dialogue. I don't think people really think deeply about that often, but there are people that are having full sentences in their head, and then there are people that I feel like this is me, that like when I'm just having thought, like my thought life is just concepts and ideas, and that to actually have an internal dialogue in that traditional sense, I have to vocalize it. So it actually has to be physically verbalized for me to have the literal word dialogue. Otherwise it's just concept and idea. And so I wonder if, like, what do you do? Because I wonder if, like,
I have
laugh
internal sentences for sure.
Yeah, so maybe you're also like, you
I'm just
don't
doing
need
it
to
internally.
physically laugh.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
I
It feels
physically
like
laugh
right.
all the time.
So the only times I need to do that is when I'm around other people.
Yeah.
To communicate properly.
Yes, yeah.
Mine's just like a narrator that's always there, a British lady.
Yes.
Do you say it in a British accent?
Like in my mind, I do
but out loud.
sometimes. Not usually, but sometimes.
Yeah.
In fact, once I pronounced fancy, just for emphasis, which is just like, I don't know, kind of a normal thing to do. But I was talking to my friend Ty's mother, who is British, and that is how she would pronounce fancy. And I caught myself doing it. She didn't say anything. She didn't notice.
Wait, okay, so let's double up on this. Have you ever said something that made yourself laugh?
Oh, I bet.
I think so.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure.
Because I'll laugh worse when no one's there. I'll cackle, you know? Just me up late, Victor's trying to sleep. I'm just listening to like monologue jokes or something.
Yeah.
Watching a video in headphones, and he just hears a lone cackle emerge from the kitchen. No, I caught myself doing it the other night when I came home from playing a particularly good live wire episode. It was a radio show here in Portland, and in fact, I was so enthralled in the show. Dennis Smith was reading the opening poem from their new book, Homie, and the poem was called My President. So like, I'm sure just reading it is amazing, but like if you ever get a chance to see live Dennis Smith do this poem, it was so good. And I'm sitting back there behind the drums, just in the house band. So for most of the show, we're just waiting, you know, just to play music while people walk on the stage. And I like started to rise in my seat. When it was done, I was like, standing ovation, I gotta do it. And then I was like, no, you're in the show. And I had this little battle.
Yeah.
Which really, instead of an internal monologue, really was like a dialogue in there where, I had a battle whether to stand up or not. I ended up, professionality won out, and I decided it would be distracting visually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a radio show, but like we do have a live audience, so I ended up not doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was just pumped after the show because
Yeah.
it was so amazing. And I got to hear this singer, Amethyst Kia, who I hadn't heard of previously. And she played her Grammy nominated song, Black Myself. And that one did get a standing ovation from the audience, from
Wow.
like at least half the audience, because it was like, I mean, it was my favorite performance of a song by a musical guest in my years at Livewire, and I've been doing it for like 4
Wow.
years. So
Wow.
it was so moving. Yeah, and I'm so glad after the show I was actually able to tell her that.
Yeah,
which like
that's
my
great.
my hanging out and hobnobbing with all these great artists backstage has really honed my nerding out and fanning out
Yeah.
abilities.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and it's like I'm less of a gusher now, but I'm more like I'll just say short statements that are like very true, and you know, I would be flattered if
Yeah.
I heard that. You know,
Yeah.
hopefully people will take it in that spirit, and not that it's for any other reason. You know.
Yeah.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
But you know, I was able to tell
Who
her
doesn't
like
like genuine compliments?
how that
Yeah.
song was like so powerful and my favorite thing I'd seen on the show. You know,
Yeah.
it's absolutely true. Anyway, I would have gone out and hung out with people, and like, I don't know about you two, but after shows, that's when I feel the most energized and social and good, and
Yes.
like things are okay. Like, you know, the monster is like fought back,
Yes.
like it's keeping it at bay, like, you know, all that
Yeah.
stuff we're talking about earlier. That's gone for a moment. And I normally would go out, but it was Thursday night. I had to, you know, remix my song, I had to finish my song.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I came home. So I think it might have to do when I'm feeling social, but no one's around, I'll talk. And I was serving myself a late night
Oh, right.
dinner.
We're talking about this.
Yes, I was serving. You guys have to know. Okay, Dennis Smith, Amethyst Kia. You will not be disappointed. So I was having a late night dinner of some vegan chocolate cheesecake and a banana, and I usually cut a small slice and eat it, and then like, okay, now it's time for me to get another slice. You know, like I'll just have two. And I started carving out the small slice, and I just said, let's be real. And then I noticed that I was talking out loud. Just wondered if you guys.
All the time.
Okay, good.
And I have to say,
No,
it does get even more like pronounced for me in those moments as well, like those post show, or just anytime I'm like a little bit amped up, I'm feeling like really happy and buoyant, I'm just talking out loud, full conversations. Yeah.
I feel so much less alone.
Now I feel more alone.
Do you smile when you're by yourself? Or you just like
Yeah,
let
all
your
of
face
those-
rest?
I mean,
That's a good question.
there's a lot of those type of behaviors that I think have loosened up in me. I think I was very kind of like tightened up when I was younger, and over time I've kind of loosened up. But it takes a lot for those like internal feelings to actually like, yeah, a lot of those behaviors feel like they're presentational for me. But yeah, I mean, I'll smile on my own or whatever.
Yeah, I mean the science
Smile on my own.
the science is
I'm not
there
just like
that
dour
says like, but
walking
if
around.
say you're neutral
Uh-huh.
on your
Yeah.
own, the science is there that says by making yourself smile,
Oh yeah,
your body
release those
recognizes
endorphins.
something that
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
do. You know, it's like the
Makes
effect
sense.
of putting on a lab coat. You just suddenly feel more
Yeah.
able to learn about what kind of science are you into right now?
Quantum physics.
Quantum physics. Like you put the lab coat on, and then you can just have more
You
confidence
can
to
understand the
Yeah.
multiverse.
Absorb
Placebo
that
is
stuff.
a popular, or well, placebo is a powerful thing, and popular, I guess. Okay, speaking of P words, next week's prompt.
What's it gonna be?
What's it gonna be? Here we go. Speaking of going internal, next week's prompt, I've decided, the first dream you remember.
Oh boy.
Whoa.
Oh boy.
Yeah. What's the first dream you remember?
I mean,
Do you know?
we're just talking about sleeping dreams.
I mean, I feel like people can interpret it in whatever way they want.
Right,
But I was,
it could be like
initially
your-
I thought
your
sleeping
life's
dreams.
goal, kind of a dream.
This is actually a big
My first
Jungian
life's goal
concept.
was to be a fiction writer. That was my first life's
Oh.
goal. So I know
Oh.
that. I know that one.
Yeah.
My first sleeping dream. I do remember I had a dream
Usually
I remember some of them from high school, so that's not very early,
that
but
isn't
those
very
are
early.
like the more vivid ones because I had a dream that I was a duck once. I remember that pretty clearly.
Whoa.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun life.
A lot
as
of times those earliest remembered dreams, I think Jung was the first one to kind of like focus on them. It's often like kind of really intense, like short scenes and it's like a reoccurring dream that happens.
Yes. Okay. So I did, now that you bring it up, I did have reoccurring dreams when I was a kid that there was a tree house in this like one particular tree in my backyard, and that felt so real. Like I remember it because it, not only because it was recurring, but it felt so real that like when I would wake up in the morning, I'd think that there was a tree house in my backyard. Yeah.
Did something happen in the dream, or was it just?
That's the only bit I really remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess just if something was happening, it was just me as a kid, just sort of adventuring in my backyard in the tree house and sort of like
What a wholesome
hiding up
dream.
That's
there.
a nice one. Mine was definitely a nightmare, so I look
Mine was
forward to
also a
sharing
nightmare.
my song next week.
Yes, I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah. Well, thanks for doing this with us. It's been great.
My
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank you so much.
Do you have
And we-
anything you want to talk about? Tell people about?
I don't have anything concrete because I'm working on a new record right now. So, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
Is I've been in the process of writing some new songs, so it felt like a fun exercise.
But they should definitely check out your first record because that's amazing.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, my first EP
Yes.
is available on Spotify.
Yeah.
To help
and
you with
all
writing
the other
your
places.
new record, we would like to give you an Honest Jams pen and a notebook.
Oh, you guys, thank you. Love it. I will write in it for sure. I'll be along with you.
Yeah. And anybody else out there that wants to write along with us can post whatever they write out on our Facebook group or share songs with us on.
Don't tell us about your dreams, though, right?
If you want to email
sing
me.
about them.
Email us sing about them, but email us your dreams if you want to. honestjamspodcast@gmail.com, or tell us, facts that you want us to know, or really anything at all.
Are we all living in a dream? They could answer that.
Right.
Quantum physics.
Yeah.
It could be a simulation.
And then
It's one of the solutions.
likely solution for a lot of people.
Yeah.
In a lot of people's minds.
Sure.
There's only one thing left to say.
We can bang on pots and pans.
And still kick out honest jams.